Perfect. Well, we're going to kick this off here. Thank you everybody for attending today. We're all attending the webinar on how to, we're talking about future-proofing your multi-value systems, but really what we're talking about is what is MVsharp? Why does RDM keep talking about this? And why are we really, really excited about what this means for multi-value, for the multi-value community moving forward, for the talent pool we'll have access to, and we'll go ahead and kick this off here. I am Brandon Robinson. I'm head geek for RDM Infinity. For those of you that know me, you know I get excited about multi-value technology and how this can help with our day-to-day life, how this helps power businesses, and the technology we're going to walk through today is one of the most excited I've been about in a long time. RDM Infinity started 14 years ago with the simple mindset of being able to provide resources to companies that needed multi-value administration, programming, support, engineering, etc. What this has grown into is a way for us to bring industry veterans onto our team, such as John Bramley or Dick Teo, who have joined the call with us today, and pair them with young and excited developers to be able to bring new life and longevity to our programming resources for the future. We're beyond thankful for the fact that for 2 years in a row, we've been included on the Inc. 5000 in the Rocky Mountain region. We had to go back many, many years to find the last time a multi-value programming company was listed on the Inc. 5000, and we're proud to say that we've been listed there 2 times in a row. We are experts in multi-value programming, warehouse management, custom green screen programming, e-com and web development, mobile applications, source control, AP automation, fleet management, and many more things. On the call today with us is also the CTO and COO of the ProSol Group. They were established in 1986 to specialize in multi-value applications, serving clients on 3 continents. With over 30 years in the industry, ProSol delivers reliable solutions like Icon, MVsharp, MVRest, MVSync to allow for continuity and efficiency for multi-value clients. And we're beyond honored to be able to announce that RDM is the official US reseller for the ProSol Group and suite of products. So what is MVsharp? MVsharp is the most modern multi-value database developed using current languages, methodologies, and widely available databases like SQL Server. It allows your existing multi-value applications to run on MVsharp without major conversion. It allows for dynamic normalization, allowing integration with modern applications, and we're going to talk about what that means here in just a little while. Among all of this, though, just like when we founded RDM Infinity, our main point is how do we address the longevity of a multi-value application that's run your business for decades, and how do we continue to allow that to move forward and allow access to these modern technologies that every other platform in the world has while keeping you on one of the core tenets of your business. And that's important because it's built on top of the .NET framework to utilize enterprise class tool sets supplied and maintained by realistically one of the largest software developers in the world. It runs your pick basic code just like your current system does, without the need to retool or rewrite large sections of your code. We've been in the multi-value industry for a long time. We know what the multi-value systems do. MVsharp does all of those things and so much more. It leverages current tools and languages to allow you access to new and exciting features. One thing I want to talk about a little bit is how your current multi-value system works versus a highly available and scalable architecture. So a monolithic system is typically where your database runs your data access layer, your business logic, even sometimes the application itself. To scale that, you need to be able to buy bigger and bigger servers to allow for more and more load so you can support your business and move forward. In a scalable and high availability architecture, we get things like horizontal scaling, we get replication, we get access to our data in new and exciting ways. Our application runtime, which is where your multi-value application sits, can run side by side with other application runtimes to allow flexible and load balanced access to your system. It allows data access layers and replication and failover technologies pre-baked into the database that run some of the largest companies in the world. By allowing for a load balanced user experience, it allows us to scale this up and down as needed to really support your company while allowing for disaster and high availability. If one of the servers does go down, the other application servers pick up where it leaves off. Some of the key advantages to how MVsharp addresses the technology we were just talking about. It allows your application itself to run in an application runtime that allows for that scalability. By utilizing industry standard databases, it allows for a large ecosystem of not only tools, but talent as well, whether it be administrators, programmers, DBAs, etc. But it doesn't forget where it came from by allowing us to mix both the existing staff you already have with new administrators and developers to work inside of your MVsharp environment. It allows for a mix and match of Windows and Linux versions, possibly even inside the same environment, to make sure you're getting the right tool for the right job. But how does this work internally? So it stores your multi-value data in SQL Server as multi-value data. And I want to pause here for a sec to talk about, there's been many attempts at this in the past. But the special thing about this is it doesn't pretend to normalize or flatten your data into rows and columns where we know multi-value data doesn't fit. It keeps the multi-value data in the format that we know and love and allows the pick basic tools that already run our business to continue to access and use that in real time without massive changes. To be able to do this, it allows for powerful built-in SQL functions to dynamically normalize the data as it's used and to be able to be accessed inside of our multi-value application. In the background, it compiles the pick basic code that we know and love, that we run right every day, to allow for to allow the C# code to continue to run that pick basic code in the background, while also allowing for more and more functionality that that's included by writing that C# right in line. Compiling to C# allows integrations for other things inside of our pick basic applications, like the ability to include C#, Python, JavaScript in line with our pick basic application. It allows us to include external libraries for these languages to bring in features for these SDKs and other programming environments that have never been available inside of our multi-value applications before. It allows for built-in REST API servers for direct access to any of the data or pick basic programs that we're already running. Some of the other very cool things it does is by allowing native SQL integration into tables inside of SQL, where we can read and write to normal relational database tables, all while still using that normal pick basic and programming languages that we know and love. It allows us to create and access native SQL views for displays of multi-value data. It allows for built-in tools for replication and failover, not only using the industry standard tools that are already built into SQL Server, but third-party tools as well, because it's an industry standard database such as DBVisit and other applications. It allows us to write code, debug, and access data using tools that are used to using SQL Server, such as VS Code, to write and debug code in your multi-value application in real time. It allows things like access to SQL Server Management Studio and so many more. So we're going to dive into a live demonstration here. One of the things that we want to make sure that we showed off was what this looks like. So we took some small accounts saves from one of our internal development systems here. What that allows us to do is we're going to show in real time what this looks like here. We're going to go through, we're going to create some simple accounts. We're going to restore that data from our account saves that we did this morning, compile some code, look at some code, and show you just how this data is stored. So from here, we're going to just create a quick account here, just so you don't have to watch me type all of these commands. Some of these commands I'm going to copy and paste into here, just so you can see them build across the board here. This is building a new account. We come through and install the default. From here, we're going to take a simple account save we did this morning. That data is sitting out on our hard drive here. These files are now being restored to SQL Server, data, programs, etc. We're going to convert our business basic programs to a directory here so we can access and compile the code. One of the parts of typical mapping of this, which we'll talk about a little bit, is us mapping the code and how that works in a migration. We're going to compile that same pick basic code that we run on all of our other systems. We're going to catalog that code. And just like that, our internal video game rental store is up and running from another MultiValue system brought into MVsharp in real time. It allows us to come in. It allows us to do things like list our customer files, use our menu system, use our green screen application, just as we would expect in any of our applications on any other MultiValue system. Powerful stuff, again, that's unheard of in other attempts at doing this for other systems. What we're going to do now is we're going to restore one of our reporting databases, but I want to make sure we call out if you're on this webinar today and because of whatever reason you're in the need of an alternate for your MultiValue system, this is where your day in conversion would take off. Install, conversion, compile, overnight you switch. It's meant to make sure your day-to-day will not change. It shows the advantages of the system, but allows moving to the system to be as painless as possible, while still allowing to run your business without having to worry about the fact you had to do a conversion in the background. We're going to go ahead and build one more account. We're going to restore our reporting account here. Again, I pasted a few commands in there so you don't have to watch me struggle through typing those, but we're going to walk through what this looks like right here. So again, we're going to do just a simple account restore here. Any of you that know that I give live demos, which I am terrified of doing, will notice that even some of the commands I'm typing in here, just like all of us, my backspace key gets a lot of love on my keyboard. But we thought it was important to show you that this was being done in real time with there's no smoke and mirrors in the background. So our reporting account has now been restored from an account save in one of our other systems. For the non-universe and prime derivative systems, what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at some of the data here. We're going to use a couple features that may be unfamiliar with some of the D3 or other users out there. But because this system takes the best of all the worlds, we get access to doing some of this. So we have a report data file in the system here. And just like normal reporting, we're going to list the first name, the last name. We're going to say age, balance, color, and user. We've got report data down the screen, as you would expect to see, column names across the top, report data. And this is just simple MultiValue data, just as we would be using it in any other system. Report data across the board here. As we look at it, it's built into the columns we're expecting, as we would from a TCL report. Also, as we do go through this, please feel free to post your questions to the Q&A section. We'll have a Q&A section here in just a little while, but we'll make sure feel free to post those as they come up as well. What I want to show you here, though, is just because this is multi-value, we get access to it natively inside of SQL Server. As we refresh the databases, because we just created some new accounts, our accounts are broken up by database inside of SQL Server. We just created this ST2 account. We've got tables across the board that were restored. And I want to show you just a quick glimpse of what that data looks like when it's stored in the system. Our report data file is one of the files here. And as we select that data, you'll see it's stored as multi-value data directly in that file. As we go through and see this, let me shrink this window here. Let's take my one thing we can do here is, as we do this, we can say simply create that view of our report data. My apologies, we talked about phrases first. One thing that we want to do here is we're going to create what's called a phrase, mainly so you don't have to watch me type all these data all day. But for a dictionary item on report data, we're going to call something called report.listing. It's going to be a simple phrase which allows us to add dictionary items as needed, just like we did. First name, age, balance, color, user. So now if we did the same report data with report listing, we get the same report we had. One of the powerful tools that we have here is it allows us to say create view on my report data of that view of that phrase we just looked at. As that's built, we get a report listing has now been created. As we jump back over to SQL Server here, we now see that under our list of views here, we have a report listing. If I select my rows from that listing, it's showing me the same data, just like I did at TCL, to allow for our data across the screen, but now it's dynamically normalized into what's already a SQL rows and columns data. Now, for sake of the webinar here, we're going to show you this one. It also has the ability to expand multi-values in both views and sub-values across the board. And again, that's one of those things as we dive into the questions here, we'll answer some more questions about that. What we really want to do here is show the power of what happens across the board here, because we're dealing with SQL data in real time. So you'll see on this one, Steve Williams is our first person on report 010001, and we want to update his name to Grant. We're writing regular SQL queries against the data. We're going to update our report listing. We're going to set F name, which was the same as the dictionary item, to where the ID is the ID we're looking at here. One of the items we would normally do here is, as we script this, which I did not do here, there's a file here called SQL mappings, which allows us to do this back and forth. Normally this would be scripted, but because we wanted to show this in real time, we did that. We're going to make sure that that view is refreshed here. So we're going to recreate that view in our SQL Server table. We're going to jump in. We're going to show that that data is exactly the same here. We're going to select our top 1,000 rows. Steve Williams. This table has 10,000 rows in it, which we'll take a look at in just a second. One of the things we can do here, though, is we can update this SQL view just like we would in normal SQL Express or SQL Server. As we execute this, That row is now changed. If we were to look at our view again, we'll notice that name has changed. But above that, it's also changed in real time because we're dealing with the same data. That data is now shown the same here because we're not syncing the data, we're not moving the data back and forth. We're doing this in real time against the same data source. But what happens if our multi-value side needed to change that data? We could do the same thing here. We can update, use update, edit, wed, VS Code to change this data. And now we want to change this entry to Brandon. I updated the data just like I normally would, whether it's at the command line, whether it's in a program accordingly. And that data, because we're looking at the exact same data source, is changed as soon as this view is listed. Super powerful tools to be able to allow the moving of data back and forth and be able to see this data in real time across the board. And this is just scraping the surface of the powerful tools that are really available inside of MVsharp. We want to make sure we got a view of the data, how that data can be moved back and forth and modified throughout different systems, all while still expressing and seeing the data that you're using every day. From here, we want to talk about licensing and migration a little bit. MVsharp is different from other multi-value systems in that it's priced in CPU core to allow you the flexibility to grow and scale your environment as needed to run your business the right way. There are no per user licensing fees in MVsharp. By doing this, it allows you to scale the support and environment you have to really support the needs on the fly by using that scalable and horizontal architecture, horizontal scaling architecture we talked about earlier. All the features inside of MVsharp are included inside of MVsharp. There's no individual licenses for individual pieces across the board. A migration typically allows for a review of your current system, reviews of integrations in and out of the system. By existing on standard-based industry standard technology, it allows for both on-premise and cloud hosting. Whether you're hosting in AWS, Azure, Nexus Tech, etc., it allows you to stay right where you're hosting because they understand these industry standard platforms without having to understand multi-value or them having special multi-value engineers on staff. A design and implementation plan allows for most of the time a simple account restore and an account save, moving data back and forth using native files that MultiValue understands already to bring your systems up, running, and tested. MVsharp allows for Developers Edition. There's a no-cost Developer Edition available. It's unrestricted and full version for 1 year at a time. Allows for it's a one core license and unrestricted in any of the features. As we get into questions here, we're going to pop up a poll here real quick for 30 seconds. If anybody would like more information about maybe some of the features we did not cover today, or more in-depth demos or examples of any kind, please feel free to reach out to us. Let us know you want some more information, and one of our brilliant multi-value engineers will be in touch right away to walk you through whatever we can help teach you about these. We're super excited for what we showed you today. Like I said, we're scratching the surface so we can make sure we keep this webinar on point and accessible to everybody. And how we continue to move the multi-value platform forward and allow for really modern integrations with what we're looking at here. From here, we're going to dive into some of the questions. So first question, how does it handle values, sub-values, and text marks? By storing that data as multi-value data in SQL Server and building it on top of the powerful CLR integrations that allow for SQL Server to expand, compare, and use that data, value, sub-value, and text marks are handled just like they would be in any other multi-value system. Why? Another question. When you use inline C# or Python, are you able to debug stepping through the inline code? And this is really one of the really amazing things that allows MVsharp to really behave how it does, is the fact that all of this is compiled to .NET in the background using tools like VS Code or the built-in debuggers allows you to step straight through that code line by line, regardless of the programming language it's built programmed inside of the application. Allows powerful back and forth integrations to really allow the best tool for the best job to be used. Question is, how do you handle locking? In D3 recognizes SQL locks and vice versa. Locking is handled at the database layer and in the MVsharp runtime layer. There is communication that happens in the background to express locks between the application servers and SQL. That way your locks persist from application server to application server to be honored wherever they're needed, and to be able to make sure that those records are locked, honored, and not updated out of sequence. Question came in and said, why use MVsharp instead of Universe? So I may be biased about this answer a little bit, but I think MVsharp really does something that other multi-value systems really don't. By allowing us to separate the database and application layer without having to change our code, it allows for features that allow for modernization, speed, replication, high availability. That's really, really hard to pull off in some of the other multi-value systems, if possible at all. Universe, especially some of the universe replication, can be a daunting task to really set up, and really requires a really in-depth knowledge of what that looks like, versus allowing MVsharp to take in and allow for industry standard tools that are built into the database that are really sort of point and click to use in some cases. Question is, are calls to database via API or universe user? Can we reduce our universe users? So the quick answer is yes, because you're not going to be on universe anymore. As you migrate from MVsharp, and because there are no per user license fees, it really allows us to scale your operation to, maybe we want to isolate your SSH and Telnet users on one application server, API users on another server, so they're not stepping on each other for resources, etc. It allows for extreme flexibility on all sides of that. Question came through, is conversion only Universe or also D3? Conversion is available on Universe, Unidata, JBase, D3, across the board. All of those platforms natively integrate with MVsharp, and we're excited to say over the course of working with the ProSol group, the software is hyper compatible across the board. Question came in, who handles the integration and migration? As a partner that RDM has tried to be over the past 14 years, not only are we the resellers for the ProSol suite of products, we are your integration and support specialists to be able to provide what you need as you need it to get these systems up and running in a rapid fashion to allow your business to continue to grow without having to worry about what database or platform you're sitting on in the background. Any other questions? Awesome. This is a general overview of MVsharp. Like I said, there are massive. Oh, a few more questions just came in. If we're using an ORM, question is, if we're using an ORM and connect to the SQL database, would we get the data as a multi-value string that still needs to be processed? You could absolutely get it as a string that still needs to be processed, or using the built-in functions and views that we showed off, you could get that directly as SQL data in the other end of your application because it's native SQL functions at that point. Question came in, is there a GUI also? The application itself is still accessed as you would through Accuterm, Wintegrate, Putty, any of the multi-value or any of the terminal emulators. There is the GUI interfaces for database administration, web administration, etc., that you would use for any of these tools, for any of the database tools for SQL Server. Question came in. How does one request a developer edition? In the follow-up to this email that you're all going to get will be a link to the RDM website. There's a simple 2-3 question form to fill out, and the developer edition will be sent out to you. Question. Would this allow you to write your middle layer in TypeScript to interact with the SQL database directly via APIs? That's an amazing question that I want to dive in here. So absolutely, because we can access SQL views in the SQL data, you can absolutely interact with your data at the SQL level. We didn't mention TypeScript earlier, but TypeScript is also supported right alongside C#, Python, JavaScript, and TypeScript right within the PicBasic applications themselves as well. But you can absolutely interface with the data directly at the SQL layer and then access it in PicBasic just as your application normally would. Question came through. Is the MVsharp environment a blob like D3, or is it more like Universe, aka BP is a directory file that you can edit directly? MVsharp is more akin to the Universe style of development in that aspect. Your programs exist in a directory on the application runtime servers, so they can be edited directly through the folder, or they can be edited directly through the green screen application as you normally would. Question came in. Does MVsharp handle case insensitivity like D3? It absolutely does. There's been a lot of work to go in, not only on the database side, which SQL Server handles by default in a case insensitive collation internal to the application. Case insensitivity is absolutely handled inside there, so you can move directly from one platform to the other without having to worry about things like case sensitivity, depending on your setup or how you would like to run that. Question comes down. Does this introduce 2 points of failure? If SQL goes down and if D3 goes down, or can one be down and still operate? So again, as we're moving, you're going to move away from D3, and if in a migration, you would move away from D3 in this case. It would be running on top of MVsharp. Because of the tools that allow the replication and load balancing along the application servers and replication and failover of the SQL servers, those are handled automatically inside of the application to allow for really robust failover situations that allow for your application to remain up. Unlike other multi-value systems, you mentioned D3 in your question. If D3 goes down, obviously there's solutions like hot backup and such. This takes over automatically. Inside of MVsharp, it's handled automatically because of the built-in replication, failover, and fault tolerance inside of these application packages. Awesome, everyone. I think that wraps up our current questions we have. As you can tell, we're super excited about this. And like I mentioned, if any of you know me, one last question came in. If I'm converting to MVsharp, why do I still have D3? You do not have to have D3 as you're converting to MVsharp. The purpose of a migration to MVsharp is to move you away from your current multi-value platform, whether that's Universe or JBase or D3. Your code, your data is all moving over into MVsharp, and you're running your application and data directly from there to abandon the per user licensing fees and such that are associated with some of the other multi-value platforms. Once you're in MVsharp, you now have access to all of these features without being reliant on any of the previous multi-value databases you may have had. Awesome, everyone. Like I mentioned, of you that know me, I always get excited about multi-value technology. And in the past 10 years, this is the most excited I've been about multi-value technology in a long time. As always, we're here to support you on all of your multi-value platforms. But we're beyond thrilled about what MVsharp will do for the multi-value world. And we're really looking forward to sharing more and more of this with you as we continue to have these conversations. I sincerely appreciate all of you taking the time to join us today. Thank you.